Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Brief. Today, we're blessed to have Brittany Couch with us. Hello, Brittany.
Hi there, Chris.
We're so glad you're here. Brittany Couch is the CMO at the Corporate Finance Institute. So, Brittany, to get us started, why don't you start with a rundown of where you started in the business and what led up to what you're doing now?
Yeah, that sounds great. I was actually pretty lucky in my career journey. Oddly enough, I had no intention of being a marketer out the gate. Very much was honed into me. You're going to go to college, you're going to pick a stable field. That's going to be your career life path. So originally, I was a nursing major, uh, but I had to work my way through college. And so I was lucky enough that the first job I ever landed was actually in data at a small home improvement startup. And then while I was there, I kind of worked my way into the marketing field, which was a plus because getting the degree and the experience simultaneously was a huge leg up at the time. And so I entered the world of marketing in 2009 as a PPC specialist. We don't really use those words anymore. And then, I spent the better part of a decade kind of learning the different channels, exposing myself to the user journey, um, taking on team member development. And I've been across almost every vertical. I've been in fundraising, home improvement, hair color, and now e-learning for finance professionals. So it's been quite a journey.
That's fantastic. And GoFundMe is definitely one of the standout brands in that space. And I'm sure you played a key role in helping it be even better known. No, that's fantastic. But yeah, it couldn't be any more diverse, right? From hair coloring to startups and fundraising. That's fascinating. Well, CFI, Corporate Finance Institute, tell us what it is, what you do, and then let's finish that thought with what the brand promise is.
Yeah. Corporate Finance Institute is an online e-learning platform for corporate finance professionals. Our mission is to democratize the e-learning space so that countries and bodies of people who wouldn't normally have access to things like education resources can basically achieve their life goals. We are global. We're in 180 countries. And what we essentially do is we use practitioner led e learning courses to help corporate finance professionals get certified, get specialized in their space, and essentially land the job of their dreams. We have a lot of diversity in our program. We have entry level students, people trying to break into the space, which is great. Our content is easy to digest, it's very self paced. There are a lot of practice labs and templates to kind of help you along the way. We have a lot of early career and mid career jumpers, which is also phenomenal to see. And our goal really is to help anyone globally be able to not only say they have the certification, but actually have the practical skills to back it up. You know, what we find is the difference between having a job and developing your career is really the confidence you develop while being able to model, give a presentation, actually back up the assumptions you're making so the company you work for can be successful.
Gotcha. And so what's the brand proposition? I know that you covered that in certain ways. Is there a statement or a strategy statement that you use to
We
describe it?
encourage everybody who comes to the site and picks a membership to actually pick a career path and get certified.
Got it.
We have a lot of material in mind to can help you figure out what career path is best for you, and then the courses you need to take to upskill, maintain your credentials, and then ultimately move to a more specialized variation of that field.
Got it. Got it. 180 countries. Most people don't even know there are that many out there. Like you, I've worked in at least that many in my career. Tell me, how do you pay attention to the cultural differences and even the economic differences? Because a Kenyan economy is very different than you know, I don't know, Cyprus economy versus, the financial markets are very different. Some of them are regulated in different ways, and some have mixed currency. So tell us a little bit about how you serve the markets on a global basis. And then is there a combination of cultural awareness and language localization?
That's a really great question. We're very cognizant that it is not easy nor affordable in most places to pursue higher education. And so, in that vein, we've developed and spent a lot of time researching various countries and what it takes for them to be successful. This kind of shows up in a few different ways. Some of it is pricing and packaging. This year was the first year that we decided to kind of test geo specific pricing. India was the first country we picked, obviously, because they have lower GDP and access to resources. So they're a great market to experiment in. So we're approaching it that way to see what we can do there. On the marketing side specifically, we're so interested in learning about our customers. We email them regularly. We have a lot of survey interaction. And this isn't just kind of a turn and burn, you get a cold email. There's actually somebody on my team who is hand emailing and responding to customers. And so we take feedback very, very seriously. India, for example, tends to be more concerned about career related issues, career related content, which makes sense given that market. And so, because we have access to that level of feedback, a lot of times when we're speaking to them, that's what we're talking about. We're picking very specific career paths. We're providing resources and tools that explain the various complications in each, and then kind of guiding them towards that certification. Where it gets a little bit tricky is obviously there's 180 countries and we're global. And so you have to pick a good place to start. So we started small with India, but by the end of the year, we will have about 6 or 7 more specific geos up and running, keeping in mind that each market is different. And hopefully that brings us closer to that goal of democratizing the space.
Gotcha. So, it's a competitive space because there are, universities and other higher ed groups that offer, programs, degrees and certifications. And even, in the US in particular, there's like Series 6, Series 9, Series 68, all the kind of financial market requirements. How does that relate to what you do? And do you guys play nice together? Is it competitive, or how's that all work?
I'm going to answer this in a really political way. Yes, it's competitive. There's a lot of people in the space, but we like to think we're competing with ourselves. We're the
Right.
gold standard. We've gotten ourselves to a point where FMBA, the cert we built, is becoming so recognizable that people are interviewing and Goldman Sachs is recognizing us. People are asking for it. It's being listed on their resume. And that is something we built from scratch through the quality practitioner led material that we've built over the years. So that's amazing to see and
Right.
separates us. It really sets us apart. The second piece of that is when you build a high quality product that actually delivers results in the market, you build that credibility. And so this year was the first year that we took on an EDU partnership. CSU Global out of Colorado State is one of the biggest online providers for college degrees, and they are now offering credit equivalency for CFI courses. And so I would say that we're not competing with anybody. We're competing with the education space and breaking down barriers so that more people can live the quality of life that they need to in this current environment.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. And I love with 250 plus courses and 2.8 million professionals served and growing. I love that you've got things like uh, blockchain, digital banking, insurtech, martech, or fintech and wealth tech. I mean, those are very specific programs. So, and the applicability of those are really strong as any more employers or entrepreneurs need that very specific niche skill, not a generalized skill, but a niche skill, right? So that makes a lot of sense. Are there others that are a part of your roadmap that are emerging?
Yeah, one of the biggest things every company I would say is trying to tackle this year is AI. And
Right.
so it is no shock or surprise that the finance sector is feeling probably higher pressure than maybe some of other fields are. And so it's been really important for CFI to stay ahead of the game and make sure that our customers feel comfortable in that space. And what we're finding is most finance professionals are not ready for this change, and which is where we come into play. And so this year we are launching our first ever AI for finance certification. It is coming out in November. We have partnered with some of the best practitioners in the field to make sure that the courses are up to date, relevant, and also helpful, right? In a world of AI slop, we definitely do not want to be putting out bad content. And a part of our backbone is that high quality content that resonates, that stays with you, and allows you to apply it almost instantaneously. So we're very, very excited for that. We are also refreshing our CBCA program that's going to come out in August. We are very cognizant that the field changes frequently. And so we try to release new certifications every year, but also we make sure that we always go back to our high quality products and make sure that the courses are up to date, that we're talking about kind of new tips and tricks. And that's kind of where you can start tying how AI helps the individual fields as well. So lots of exciting stuff coming this year.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I just wanna go back to you mentioned VA, or FMVA. My dyslexia is getting me, which is financial modeling and valuation analyst, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to give that shout out to explain that in case some of our listeners weren't up to speed on the acronym that I couldn't even pronounce. Um,
Yeah, I would say like we offer a robust selection of certifications for corporate finance professionals, but we're most well known for our flagship, which is the FMBA for financial modeling. It was one of the first things we ever launched, and it definitely turns heads on a resume. We also last year launched our FPAP, which is more geared towards FP&A professionals. Even though it is less than 2 years old, it immediately became our second top performing program. So people are definitely getting a lot of value out of those two things. On
yeah,
top of the course material, though, something that we've really leaned into this year is the idea of practice labs. It's not enough anymore to just watch a video, read documentation. The interactive tools are really going to be what separates a novice from somebody who can come in and do the work. On the subject of AI, I think what's top of mind for people is how do I learn it, but also know that I have the skills, right? How do
yeah.
I know that what I'm being told is actually true and that I can take that and go apply it in a high pressure situation? So we're very excited to leverage practice labs along with the certifications in the coming years. We think it's going to work out really well for our members.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, do you, as a part of your business model, are you selling to individuals primarily, or are you also selling to enterprise organizations who then offer it as an extension program into their staff?
Our business is split. So we have a broad range of consumers. And so I like to think that the consumers are the foundation of our business. They come in, they try the product, they really like it. It helps them prove their skills, get the job they want. Once they're there, though, oftentimes it creates a flywheel. They refer other seats within their company. Everybody's upskilling at the same time, which means that there's no weak spots on the team, which makes you a lot more nimble, adds a little bit more job security, and ultimately gets everybody the recognition that they want. And so we try to create enough of a bridge between the two so that whether you're an individual or you're on a business seat, you have access to the same quality material. What I'll say though is if you're coming on the business side, your goal's a little bit different than you are on the individual. And so we try to treat them as unique as they are.
Yeah, gotcha. So your flagship is FMVA. What percentage of the marketplace actually knows that and can find it based on actually searching for it? I mean, how does the customer arrive, I guess, is ultimately the question.
Um, I can't really tell you how much of the available market knows because I don't know that anybody would have that data. What I will say is that our SEO program is very high quality. It is kind of the foundational bread and butter of who we are.
Yep.
Content is our backbone. When we launched over 10 years ago, Tim Vipon, who is our CEO and founder, he spent a lot of time hand creating the content from scratch because he himself was a corporate finance professional. So over the years, that high quality content has been able to help us scale and grow pretty quickly. And it's given us a competitive edge in an AI overview world. Within that, I can see all of the Google Search Console traffic related to FMVA. It is not small. It is one of our highest categories. Like I said, it's very searchable. We have a testimonial library of customers letting us know that in their interview, FMVA was recognized. And so those are the kind of broader indicators that are leading me to believe that the brand is growing and expanding in the way that we'd like to see.
Got it. With search being such a strong component of your marketing approach and the Gen AI influence starting to take hold as quickly as it has, what are you adding to your marketing mix, or you know rethinking as you see SEO still work and it's always going to work on some level, but it's changing. How's that impacting your mix?
I'm so glad you asked this question. It hasn't changed anything we've done. All we did to stay ahead of the game was double down on quality foundational SEO practices. AI overview is new, but SEO is not, and user intent is not. And so, if we're structuring schema correctly, if our FAQs are valuable in actually addressing what customers look for, if we have an easy to shop site, those are the things that do well for AI, do well for the user, and ultimately are going to win in the SERPs. And so, from my perspective, the worst thing a marketer could do right now is reinvent the wheel by just mass producing AI content. You still need keyword hierarchy. You still need to tie the concepts together. And your site still needs to be searchable by bots. And so I feel like where a lot of marketers are missing the mark is they're cutting corners. And while that might work today, Google's catching up.
Yeah,
And once it catches you, there's always a ramification. And so for us, we would rather just continue to do SEO incredibly well and be mindful while keeping a watch on AI visibility. But it's
gotcha.
working.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. And as you said, you're building out modules around AI, so your product is representing it, your marketing is representing that. I'm curious, how much do you use AI in the marketing team?
We're pretty heavily engrossed, but I will add this caveat that we are human led first. And so while we use it to kind of help go from outline to first draft, we have a brilliant writer on my team. She's hand editing everything. I have an XEO expert on my team, double checking, fact checking everything. I find AI to be very useful. It's also incredibly wrong. It also uses a lot of language that makes no sense. And the thing about marketing that's so brilliant is that it has a powerful way of creating change, creating impact. If you use the right words, you can move mountains essentially. If you're AI, you lack emotion and common sense. And so for you, you create value props such as it's not this, it's that. And so we try to, at all times, be efficient, but not lose the heart and soul of why we're marketers.
Yeah. So, as an organization and as a business, how do you, what kinds of programs or elements do you do to support the culture and the distinction of the team? And because in the end, people buy people that have good products and services. What's the persona of CFI?
Uh, I like to think that we're all passionate owner operators. And so a lot of times when we are coming up with ideas, testing new things, releasing new courses, we're previewing it to each other. And we're a really small company. We're 50 people. So when you put it into that perspective, there's really not a lot of silos. But uh, Ryan Spendelow, who runs our content, who was a corporate finance professional, brilliant. The first thing he did when he finished his first practice lab was come show me so that I can interact with it, a non corporate finance professional, right? And
Right.
I think that sort of curiosity and excitement is what makes all of us want to work here. What gets us so excited about the mission is that we want everything we do to create that next level of, wow, I've really needed this. This would have helped me get so much farther if I had something like this in my career.
I like it. I like it. So, as a marketer, you started at GoFundMe and Gobble and Madison Reed, all direct to consumer plays. How have you translated that to the, very different world at CFI?
I like to tell everybody that great marketing is always the same. It's only the product that changes. It starts with being data driven. So figure out who your customers are. What are they dealing with? How can you actually help them? Tangibly help them, not what you think aspirationally you can do, but how. Once you're data driven, it's really easy to figure out where you have to meet them. At CFI, we spent a lot of time figuring out the easiest way for them to shop, how to get them to the course material sooner, how to make sure they're moving at a quick enough pace that they feel confident about it. How do we test their skills with them so they know that they're developing it? Those types of things would be true anywhere I go, right? If when I was at GoFundMe, the goal was to make sure you could start a fundraiser very easily to hit your target so that you could essentially afford the thing you couldn't afford before.
Yeah.
How did we do that? We took a look at the data. We took a look at pain points. We looked at the types of fundraisers that were being made so that we knew what those people were trying to do and could speak to it and bring to life their story. And so I think a lot of that stays the same.
Yeah. Um, Interestingly, all three of the companies prior to CFI, Madison Reed, Gobble, and GoFund, all faced very complicated moments in time, whether it be meal kit wars, post COVID stuff, the accountability debates with GoFundMe. What is your experiences with that? You know, taught you about brand resiliency and how to be prepared for tough times.
I think the most important thing a brand could do is really lean into what its identity is and not lose sight of that. And so um, it's no shock that the economy has continued to evolve in a way that creates stress. Um, in these moments, I find that a lot of businesses are reacting by increasing pricing, essentially not taking into account what is happening in the broader macroeconomic environment. At CFI, we care so much about our customers as people. We've actually never raised our price in 10 years. It's been exactly the same.
Hmm.
Um, Again, this is because we want you to have access. We want you to believe in the product and be able to come back. Um, CFI's brand identity is rooted in personal growth and financial stability versus Madison Reed was really rooted in making women feel good about themselves, which is a
Mhm.
beautiful mission. And GoFundMe's mission was helping you basically afford things you can't. And I think each brand does a really good job of making that customer understand that they're there for you
Yeah.
every step of the way. And I think each brand does it very, very well. Not every brand really thinks about their customer and really cares about them that way. And I love working for brands that do so.
Yeah, that makes sense. In the finance world, it's a very heavily networked word of mouth book of business type, relationship industry. As a marketer, I'm sure you have, you've talked about having Google and other analytics tools. How much attribution can you believe is really accurate versus what's word of mouth or network driven?
Uh, Attribution is always directional at best between being a clickless world, a cookieless world, and AI overview and probably the next 500 things that will happen in that space. And so, from my perspective, the best way to know is to talk to people. And so, we email. Sometimes we fly our CEO founder out to a country and he spends a day with, 40 or so customers. I think that's the best way to know word of mouth is growing. I think that's the best way to know that you're servicing your customers. I think without it, a lot of the interactions feel hollow and you can't really stand behind whether or not your brand is growing.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense getting out there. From a customer satisfaction perspective, what tools and techniques do you use to track it and pay attention to it?
We have a bunch of standard stuff. I mean, we're on Trustpilot and we go and we respond to them individually there. There's Google reviews, which we actively collect. We spend a lot of time emailing people individually, though. Once you complete your certification, usually within a certain amount of time, you'll hear from us. We want to know how you liked it, how it helped you. Um, we've gotten really into translations this year. And so we haven't rolled out every single language available. It's kind of been by popularity, but we have individuals reaching out and requesting daily. And so each of those interactions is handled by a person, not by AI. And then it kind of goes into a storage bank for us to, you know, consider, talk through, make sure it hits the next stage of evolution.
That makes sense. So the competition in the space, we talked about this a little bit. You know, how do you see the distinction between, CFI's offering and, the other players that are out there? I mean, I know that you've talked about that they're expert led and expert developed, and the diversity, with, what is it, 500 plus, uh, um, verifiable CPE and CPD, credits. Tell me a little bit more about the fabric of the difference.
Um, There are a lot of people in this space that mostly focus on selling courses and programs, smaller programs. A lot of times, a lot more expensive. A lot of the competitors in this space are charging thousands of dollars for a very small program that doesn't have interactive templates and practice guides. We sell memberships. We want you to have somebody to support you your entire career journey. Maybe you're a student, you start day one and you just take foundational courses to help you while you're in college. Maybe you get your cert, but you want to be better at Excel or AI for Excel. So you go and you get your specialization. You have your CPE, CPD credits, which help keep you certified every year and keep you in compliance. We're here at a very affordable fee to help you do that. There are a lot of competitors in the space that want to charge an exorbitant amount of money for really not a lot of content, and that just goes against the fabric of who we are.
Yeah, got it. So, when you were recognized actually as the Employee of the Year for CFI, what what do you think made that difference that had you stand that the organization saw you as the Employee of the Year?
I joined CFI at a pretty pivotal time in its growth cycle. They saw a lot of growth kind of in the COVID world, and similar to most businesses, inevitably there was some sort of slowdown that we kind of all unilaterally experienced. Um, when I joined CFI, I introduced a very novel concept of we're just going to do less and we're going to do it better. We were trying to solve the mysteries of the world for every geo, for every problem, for every career path. And not unusual for a startup to kind of be spread thin like that. But when I came in, my primary focus was we're going to pick what we're best at. We're going to focus there and we're going to do it so well that naturally the funnel's going to open up and we're going to get the right customers at the right time. And that's kind of what I've been doing since it's been very, very successful. We're very focused on personal growth, work life balance here. Um, we don't like to waste hours. And so, I always tell people that, we might not get everything done, but everything we get done will have impact.
Yeah, yeah. Um, One of the things I'm curious about, because you talked about helping people earn more, have success in their careers. Is there, have you done any effort to try and quantify that on a relative basis?
We do a lot of surveys, and we reach out a lot individually, and then
Yeah,
once we hear their story, we bring it to life. And so we have a videographer on my team store, and he's absolutely wonderful, and he flies out to all of these locations to get in front of them and collect their story. And so on our website now, we actually have a wonderful hub that we just built that really brings those stories to life. And what you'll see is there's a lot of people out there that didn't know they were gonna be a corporate finance professional, just like I didn't know I was gonna be a marketer, and,
right.
similar to me, they learned on the job. They're learning basically from their own volition, on their own ambition, and it's really changing their world. And so, we believe that if we bring enough of those stories to the forefront, if we show the world that it's not a pipe dream, there are a lot of people like you, word of mouth will pick up, and we'll continue to capture more and more people.
Got it. Beyond the Brief is very much focused around, we all write these creative briefs or project briefs when we're working on campaigns or initiatives. And it has a strategy on it. And inevitably, when we get into working on execution or actually launching it or preparing the work to launch it, something will come up out of nowhere that is like even stronger strategically to execute against. Do you have any stories where that might be the case where, an idea came from a customer or somebody on the team that made the brief even stronger, after you'd already started working on it?
We go through a lot of iterations here. Like I said, we're pretty small, small but fierce, and so our briefs are constantly evolving. But one of the hypotheses of the year was that we have this big body of people that obviously come to site and are interested in us, but aren't quite ready to commit to a career or a certification. Right, that's a pretty hefty ask of somebody who maybe is just getting started or, is in the middle of switching their role. And so, we decided we were gonna put a heavy emphasis this year on kind of further developing people by meeting them at the right place, right time. Within that brief, though, we had a lot of different ideas of what that meant. So for me, that meant we're gonna simplify the nav, we're gonna move some things around on the homepage, we're gonna create some breadcrumbs, and that's gonna make it really easy for people to get from, why CFI, what our learners say about us, and the benefits. That's how I tackled it. Well, another member on the team was like, maybe they don't know that they need career pathing, but career pathing is actually the easiest way to achieve all these goals. So they set about building that out.
Mm,
And the brilliantness of being such a small team is we're actually able to do both
right.
and split the resources. And so a lot of times when we're doing briefs, it's not that something else comes up. It's never a no. It's always kind of a yes with conditions or a yes with different timing.
Mhm.
This year, we weren't sure how many geo-specific site experiences we were going to try to get up and live. We aimed for one. We're now going to obviously do way more. And so, um, we very much commit to the bit. If something is working, if it feels good, if it's leading us down the path that we want to achieve, then we're going to do it and we're going to do it well.
Mm. I like that. That's great. On your journey, are there any people that were incredibly influential in your success or influencer, as like mentors or advisors to you, that you want to give a shout out to?
I have been so brilliantly blessed to come across so many incredible female professionals along my career who believed in me sometimes when I didn't even believe in myself. At GoFundMe, Kim Wilford and June Bauer were absolutely essential in not only just building my confidence, but making me feel proud about what I was bringing to the company. And similarly, now that I'm here at CFI, Anna Tellerocco and Angie Balaam have been so influential on my path. Um, I've come up with a lot of crazy ideas. A lot of them are things that verbatim people said to me, if it was so easy, why wouldn't somebody else do it?
Right.
And these two women, every single time, read my brief, looked at the hypothesis, and what I thought would happen and said, okay, it's going to work or it's not going to work. You've got a contingency plan. Let's just do it. And that type of belief, that type of encouragement allowed me to come up with some game-changing tactics that allowed us to grow. Last year, we ended the year up 40% year over year
Nice.
because we've taken down the guardrails. We've allowed marketing to actually do what it's good at, which is convert people looking for you.
That's great. I love that. That's fantastic. I'm curious, can you disclose what that so it was taking down the guardrails but is there a dimension to that really turned it on that you can share, or is that too confidential?
What I will say is marketing is different at every company.
Okay.
At CFI, marketing is responsible for a lot. We're responsible for the website experience. We're responsible for the branding. We're responsible for the language. And so at CFI, I'm able to look at data and say, this has to change on the homepage. Or, hey, when we're in the checkout flow, we should alter these elements because it's going to be better for conversion. And because I'm allowed to say those things and present case studies and draft tests, I'm able to actually fix every part of the funnel while working in the marketing org. At other companies, it wasn't set up this way. Different parts of the team owned different pieces. So I could control budget, I could control what we say, I could control imagery, but sometimes that's not enough. Marketing is really good at driving traffic. It's not always good at converting it. At CFI, marketing is so integrated in the product and user experience that we're set up for success because I'm increasing the funnel, watching what they're doing, and then helping push them further and further the way they need to be.
Got it. I love that. I love that. Well, Brittany, this has been an absolutely amazing conversation up to now. I mean, your career super interesting. Thanks for all you've shared throughout the conversation today. Your career's been fantastic. There's more to come, though, right? There's more to come. But Hollywood has been intrigued, so they're going to do a biopic on you. What's the name of the film, or plot, or theme, or who's going to play you?
I would say the name of the film is always commit to the bit. We're here. We're going to show up every day. We're going to let our ambition drive our curiosity. And at the end of the day, even if it doesn't work out, the story is going to be great.
I love that. And who's gonna play you, or what's the plot or theme?
Ooh. I would say the theme is intellectual curiosity, and an unknown would come and play me. Because
I
it's
l
always better to experience something new than to be influenced by outside.
I love that. I love that. Brittany, again, thank you so much for all you shared today and being a terrific guest on Beyond the Brief. Any closing thoughts that you wanna make sure our listeners hear about what's coming up for CFI?
There are a lot of great things coming for CFI this year. Like I said, we'll have our AI for finance certification coming. We have great updates to our CBCA program. We've got wonderful practice guides and live events. So be on the lookout. And thanks again, Chris.
Awesome. All right, with that, we're gonna wrap up another episode of Beyond the Brief. Thanks for listening. Brittany, thanks so much for being here, and as always, stay tuned because there's always more coming
Thank
up
you.
in Beyond the Brief.